morning. We're rounding up business ethics. So we're going to corporate social responsibility, CSR. For corporate social responsibility, it's simply talking about business activities that are involved, that put into consideration the interests of stakeholders instead of shareholders. That is what corporate social responsibility is. Stop writing, please. Do you get what my point or not? We call it corporate social responsibility because it involves taking care of or having interest of the stakeholders rather than the shareholders. Because when you have the interest of the stakeholders, it means also the shareholders are part of them. But you're not just focusing on the shareholders and forgetting about stakeholders. So that is why we call it corporate social responsibility. We put together all the interest whenever we have to make a decision as a business. That is what corporate social responsibility is. I'm going to read further anyway. CSR involves a business making sure its activities are based on putting stakeholders into consideration rather than shareholders. So we put this is paramount. So this is the more important, which means shareholders are part of them. No, you don't just think about the shareholders, because if you are thinking about the shareholders, it means you are thinking about profit for the firm or dividends for the shareholders. So we need to think about those that have interest in all the business activities, like the employees, like the customers, the suppliers, the banks, government, the community. So when we put all of them into consideration, as soon as we are making a business decision, it is called corporate social responsibility. Do we understand CSR? Do we understand CSR?
Yes.
Good. So, audit. Now, how do we figure out if a business is socially responsible? We need to know through audits. So what does an audit mean? An audit means inspecting if whatever information you've given to us is true and fair. That means you have not lied about the information. You have not falsified information. That is what audit is about. Do you understand what audit is?
Yes.
Every company would tell you they've done the right thing. But how do we know if they've done the right thing? To know if they've done the right thing, we need an audit. That is where audit comes in. Do we understand audit here?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a person, right?
What?
No, audit is a...
Inspecting if whatever statement you have tendered, whatever information you have given to us is right, is true and fair. That is what audit is about. So we need to check if you are really complying or not. That is what audit is about. Do you get that, please?
Yes.
So this means auditors can audits might be done to confirm compliance towards CSR. So we talked about corporate social responsibility. We are all corporately socially responsible. Yeah, we are. But how are we going to know? How are we sure that company A or B or C are socially responsible? We get to know through audits. So with audits, then we are going to be able to check the compliance of CSR. So what are those things we find out when we use auditing? The first one, we said, this means auditors can check evidence available to them by comparing the laid down standards as against what is presented by the business as true and fair. So the point is, the business has come up with its own reports, its statement that this is what I have done all through the year, and this makes me to be socially responsible. Then the auditors have to check if whatever information that has been presented to them are compliant with the stated standards. When we talk about standards do not have shortcuts. They are standards. That means we don't have any excuse not to follow them. That's why we call it standards. So whatever information you have passed across to the auditors, they check through the standards if A is A, B is B, C is C. That is what they need to check. So if you have presented A to Z to them, they will check their own A to Z to confirm their A is the same as your A. Their B is the same as your B. That is what standard is about. Do we get standard here? Yeah. So we have to go through this line. Are they really going through this line? If they are going through that line, are they doing it the right way to go through that line? Are they supposed to move with a car, or they are supposed to move with a bike? So if they are supposed to move with a bike and they are moving with a car to get there, that means they have not complied. So compliance is about following the set standard. And that is what compliance is about. Do we understand the point here? Yes. So with auditing, whatever information you have presented to us as auditors, we check if they are compliant. If they are compliant, then it is true and fair. But if they are not compliant, it is not true and not fair. Do we get the point, please?
Yes.
So what are those things that businesses will do? What are those things auditors will do when checking about compliance? One, employment indicator. So when we talk about employment indicator, this involves the employees, the relationship between the employees and the employers. What are those things we need to check to see if the business is doing the right thing with its employees? I hope this applies to how well the company treats its employees. These indicators can be equal opportunities. When we talk about equal opportunities, it means, does the company treat the female staff and the male staff the same way? That's what equal opportunity is. Does the company only promote the female staff or does not promote the male staff? Do they have the same opportunity or advantage at work? That is an employment indicator. Do we get the first point, please?
Yes.
Are you guys with me?
Yes. Yeah.
The second one, wages paid. Is the company paying the right amount of wages to the employees or not? That is part of the employment indicator. The third one, training. Does the company train workers or does the company treat workers as a cost or it treats them as an asset? Because if the company treats its workers as an asset, it means the company would train its workers